Wanna be the person that you call up when you're down. Wanna be the first who knows all of your deepest secrets. Can I be the one who wakes you up before you missed your ride? 'Cause I wanna be close to you, and I wanna show you something new. You gotta know, every day I got your back, yeah, you can count on me for that. So put your hand in mine, I will be there every day. When you're sick of the climb, I will make sure it's okay. I know you didn't ask for any of this, but we reach for the sky. Off the flying colors now. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Let it go. Gonna try to keep the pace, but someday we will find that the world has changed, but we stay true to each other. I will always be there for you whenever you need my help. I'm taking my time to be your rock. I don't ever wanna be apart. You gotta know, every day I got your back, yeah, you can count on me for that. So put your hand in mine, I will be there every day when you're sick of the climb.
And welcome to Drama A from the Damn Short Film Festival. I'm Anita Lanier, a programmer and co-founder of the Damn Short Film Festival. Very, very excited to do this Q&A for friendship, old and new. And so excited that two filmmakers here to join us. So let's introduce ourselves, introduce your film, and tell us a little something. All right. You can go.
Tara, go ahead.
For having us.
One more time.
Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. Sorry, I guess there's a little delay. You're welcome. We're so happy to have you here. And
Thank you.
And if you could tell us your films as well.
Yeah, so my name is Jesse Ray Tugas. I'm the writer-director of All In.
Okay. And Tara,
I'm Tara Grover Smith, and my film is The Joy Maker.
Wonderful. Okay, one of the things I was wondering about is sort of the personal nature of a lot of these short films. So I was curious if there was a personal aspect of the genesis of your choosing these particular stories to tell.
Well, I think for me, All In is about it's a story that takes place in Las Vegas, which I am originally from. I lived out there for about 20 years, and I noticed watching movies and TV shows that there aren't really a lot of the stories that are told in movies and TV shows about Las Vegas is usually the outsider looking in, and I rarely, if ever, do we ever find a local's perspective in movies and TV shows. So that's kind of where my inspiration came from. I wanted to really be true to the people of Las Vegas and just start telling stories, our stories.
Good job. Yeah. Tara?
Yeah, my short film's based on a time in my life when my friend who was dying of AIDS came to stay with me. I didn't know she was dying. I didn't know she had been ill or even had AIDS at that point. And I just wanted to capture like the confusion of those days and, feeling like I wanted to hold on to her. Yet she was really slipping away. So I wanted to just honor her.
Yeah. Yeah, and that film really your film really kind of unravels like a mystery. I remember the first time I watched it just kind of like waiting for each thing to unfold. Is it going to go this way? Is it going to be this story? Is it going to be that, which was interesting. How did you I guess when you were writing the screenplay, how did that unfold with the way in which you were going to tell the story, what to keep in, what to leave out?
Yeah, that was really tough because there was so much about her and her story, and I wasn't a big part of her life. She came into my life when I was had started a business, and so I just wanted to focus on what happens to an individual when they start looking more stereotypically homeless, and how isolated you can become and what that's got to feel like, and what true friendship is. I was trying to idealize my own behavior and explore how I could have been with her.
Mhm.
She lived for several more months after she stayed with me, and it was just for a few days. So I just wanted to focus in on that short time where how you as a host of taking in someone who's homeless can behave, and the repulsion and misunderstandings that can occur.
Yeah. And misunderstanding is kind of interesting too, that you had the audience kind of get pulled into that misunderstanding. To just in watching it, just being kept guessing.
Right. And I also wanted to explore how I felt when she was there with us, how I was sort of using her as a shield against the other problems in our family. Like, like, oh, well, here she is. And using her for that purpose, and what she could give me was not a good way to be, but she was so giving in her life. And when she was homeless, she wrote on social media, I'm so cold. I prayed last night I would die. Like, I helped so many of you. Where are you now? And so it just really helps me understand what it feels like from someone else's eyes.
And Jesse, you also, you said you wanted to tell Vegas stories. Lee and I, oops, I'm sorry, he's sitting over there. But anyway, we've been here since 2002. I taught for 1 year in the Clark County School District. So kind of there was a lot that struck home to me, because when I was a teacher in a very rough part of town, I was very aware there's a lot of social pathology everywhere. And it's a little different in Vegas. And I felt that your film really spoke well to that. It would really resonate with, probably with every teacher that's going to be in the audience, and more besides. What was the evolution of your storytelling, or your, developing this young girl character, and how that'll.
I'm sorry, it cut out right when you asked the question.
I'm sorry. I just, tell me a little bit about the development of your story in All In.
Yeah. So basically, growing up in Las Vegas, you're used to a different kind of lifestyle, right? Like, you go to restaurants that are in casinos. You spend Sunday instead of church. Sometimes maybe you go to the sports book. So those are some of the things that, growing up in Las Vegas, those are the things that I had experienced, and those are the things that I had done. And in terms of developing it, I originally had inspiration from Taika Waititi's short film, 2 Cars in One Night, about these two, it's like a first love with these two kids who are waiting outside the bar. And that was kind of, again, just like my life. Like, I remember me and my sister, when we were kids, we would we would be waiting at the restaurant while my parents went to go and play little slots. You know what I mean? And, we just, again, it's just, you think those are normal. It's normal things going to Las Vegas. But like what you said, it's there are bad sides of that. And I kind of just hopefully I wanted to try to bring awareness to that. And, the things that I've heard, even working as a waiter in the casinos, you've heard some terrible stories about, bad things happening with gambling and stuff like that. So Yeah.
Yeah, I also kind of like the second chance aspect of the storytelling with this older this, I guess, a bartender. I'm not sure if he's a manager of the restaurant, but just that you have the feeling that he screwed up in his personal life, and then um, what brought you to that, this
Uh,
developing the relationship between him and the young girl?
I think for me, it's more so responsibility, right? Like especially some people in Las Vegas, we kind of deter away from that. We kind of let our responsibilities on the side. And I think that's what Vic, the main character, I think that's what he does throughout his life. And it's just sort of a redemption for him, right? Like he has the opportunity to save this girl as opposed to going down that normal path that he's used to, going out on a Friday night to the strip and stuff like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And as far as like, I mean, I love short films. I love the stories that are short film sized. You know, sometimes we see a feature film that would have been just better off as a Saturday Night Live skit, and then having a film that's short film sized it's always really satisfying with the beginning, middle, and end. But have you had thoughts of growing this particular story or other stories into features, or do you see yourself primarily as shorts directors? What do you think, Tara?
Yeah, I've written several features sort of in my drawer right now that I'm going to have a schedule to pull a few out and tweak and finish. But yeah, the Joy Maker, I wanted to create into a feature, and I've been working on that. And the short is sort of the end, at the end, the third act of what happens, and exploring this person who is so giving in her life and all of her volunteerism all over the world and her adventures and where it took her. And yeah, and so I view myself primarily as a writer, but I have done another short, and there's another one in the pre-production phase.
Mm-hmm.
So just trying to stay busy in this COVID time and use it wisely.
Yeah.
Get lots of writing straightened out in this time.
Good. How about you, Jessry?
So same thing with exactly what Tara said. With this pandemic, there's been a lot of time to do a lot of writing, and I don't really have any short ideas right now. I'm really working on a feature film. I used to work at a care home before I started getting into filmmaking in Las Vegas. So this story in particular is about an old retired Las Vegas performer who escapes the care home with a woman and had to have one last night in Vegas, and it's like a coming of age story.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So and then I'm developing a TV show right now, and it's loosely based off me and my friend's life. A couple of my friends worked at the pool during the summers, and we kind of want to try to make that into a TV show right now. So, a lot of writing. Got a lot of time on my hands during the pandemic, I guess.
And do you see All In as something like the beginning or the middle, the end of a larger feature, or to me it seems very self-contained? But what do you think? Is it something that could be fleshed out?
I think so, and going back to what you said earlier about like the inspiration for that, we're beginning, middle, and end with All In. I just really wanted to work on the writing, right, to get it really down. And it's another inspiration to that was Cigarettes and Coffee, Paul Thomas Anderson's first short film that got him to Sundance. But there have been talks about maybe potentially doing All In as a feature and having this first part be the beginning of the movie, and then maybe it goes on to where it's like, if her dad leaves or whatever, it's like Vic, the bartender, maybe tries to find her mother, who's maybe a worker on the strip somewhere else on the strip, and it's kind of like The Child. I think it's Charlie Chapman's The Child.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. What is it? Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, it's a story where the kid. Yeah, that's the one. But yeah, it's kind of like that story, right? Where he goes out, he has this kid, and he tries to find the mom. So
yeah,
maybe something like that. I don't know. There have been a lot of talks about it, so we'll see.
I remember I was spending some time thinking about that after watching your film. Like, how would that work out, and how would that not be weird? If I could go to Child Protective Services, I just want to adopt this 14-year-old girl. It's like I don't. But and and speaking, one of the things that I really love about our film festival and about short film in general is like it's so many stories that you're not going to see any other way. I mean, right now I feel like most of the creativity in writing and in story has been in television. It's hard to dig around and find what you really like. You have to you have to watch a lot of bad shows to commit to a good show that you're going to watch, and spend those multiple
Absolutely.
hours. But what are some of the ways that you would like to see cinema just change, because your stories are not the stories that any of us are going to be paying $12 to see at AMC, which is about to not exist, etc. But hopefully movie theaters will make a comeback. We'll just cross our fingers. I mean, that's one of the things that I feel is like, I feel like I'm fed by seeing stories that are real stories, that are, people that I care about, that have a lot of heart. And sometimes with major motion pictures, it's, there's just the sense that they have to, they have to achieve certain goals with box office. So there goes the story.
The spectacle.
What would you like to change, and what are some things that you're optimistic about in the future of film? Jessry first.
Yeah, that's a good question, actually. It's like what you were saying. It's the box office numbers, right? Like that's what's really bringing people to the movies or to streaming services now. And just like with Warner Brothers and HBO Max, how they're releasing a lot of the movies on HBO Max that were going to be released in theaters. But in terms of it changing, I think it's that. I think it's really going back to these types of movies that feel real and raw, right? As opposed to this kind of like, and I'm probably going to get a lot of slack from a lot of filmmakers here, but it's like what Scorsese said about Marvel. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a spectacle where films like Tara's, they're very, they have, not that those films don't have heart, but it's something, there's a deeper meaning to it, and you can see it within the filmmaking.
Yeah. What do you think, Tara?
Well, gosh, film, theaters have been so important to me through my whole life, especially those years when I didn't have air conditioning, summertime, afternoons. No, I was so excited to be able to see Wonder Woman streaming on Christmas, so I was really glad for that. But there's nothing like sitting in a theater with a crowd and experiencing emotions together, and so I feel like the theater isn't dead. I feel I'm not sure if I'm optimistic about the future with it. I don't know what's in store. I know if more and more things go to streaming platforms, that means less opportunity for actors to be well paid and further down the line, etc. But on the other hand, I'm optimistic that we've realized during this time how important, like Jessry was saying, stories are, and that we need them. Like, entertainment is a non-essential business, but it is essential to live our lives by. And so I feel optimistic that having these stories with heart, having real stories where we can see ourselves and people that look like us, all representation, I think that's something positive happening now, finally. I'm excited about that. So yeah, I can't wait to go to the theater. But I was just telling my husband the other day, it's like, do you remember when we'd go and we'd leave early and we'd stand in line for 30 minutes and then we'd wait in a snack bar for another 10 or 15, depending if it was Friday night, and then watch 20 minutes of previews? Like, can you imagine like spending all that time? And so things have just absolutely completely shifted, but I'm completely ready to have my butt back in a theater seat.
Yeah. The other thing, let's see what else I was going to ask about. Well, back to your films. They were both really, really well cast. I was just wondering what was that like doing the casting process, and did that change anything with how your story resonated once you had actors reading your words?
Yeah, so I have wonderful producer. You know, she went to UCLA Film School and she cast it for me. And I have 3 actors in the film that have just been in a movie at Sundance. So that was amazing. I saw the lead, Nicole. She sent me a reel, kind of like a taped audition. And I got chills immediately. It's like, oh, she's got it. Like, she's got it. And she was so subtle in her emotion. And I was just so amazed by her. And then with my producer, Dawn, we met Leah face to face and talked. And I didn't audition her because she's a very accomplished actress and amazing filmmaker and her playwright in her own right. And so I feel like the casting process, when we all got together for the first time just to do a read, I knew it was going to be, they completely elevated it. So it's just a blessing to watch it happen.
Cool. How about you, Jessry?
So mine, it was kind of a weird casting. What happened was originally Vic, the bartender, was supposed to be a female, and then Win was supposed to be a little boy. And a very good friend of mine who I met out here working in LA, I was working as a production assistant on a movie. I met one of these guys. He's an actor, the guy who plays Vic, and James Paxton, who's actually the son of the late Bill Paxton, who plays the security guard. They were both on that movie, and they're both friends. And maybe about 2 weeks before shooting, before shooting, I was stressing out about casting, and I'd said, well, what if we were kind of just, switch the genders here, and you could play Vic? Because I just wanted to work with him, but I just, within the original story I had, we couldn't find anything for him, and I just wanted to work with him. And it kind of worked out for me because in the short film, Vic is a middle-aged guy. Clyde, the security guard, is kind of like, in his 20s. And then Win is preteen teenager. And it's like those 3 generations kind of mimic the stuff that I saw in Las Vegas, right? With the middle-aged guy working as a bartender and the security guard. So it just kind of all worked out. I did have to cast for Win, and I did the casting myself. And, there's a lot of submissions for that. But as soon as I saw her, I was just like, she's got it. Yeah,
she's really right on the edge. You kind of don't like her, but then you kind of root for her. I like it. She's kind of like that. She had that unlikable adolescent thing.
Yeah, and that's what I wanted.
I like
from her, so.
Yeah. It was she was very good, very well cast.
Thank you.
Yeah. And what about what are some of the things, some of the films that you like and are inspired by in terms of how you want to go forward in your careers, or films, filmmakers?
So I'd mentioned Paul Thomas Anderson, Martin Scorsese, Taika Waititi. I really liked Paul Thomas Anderson's. It became the feature film, which was Hard Eight. That's a lot. That's a lot of inspiration from that. A lot of Martin Scorsese films. I remember I didn't see Goodfellas until I was a little older. I was like 18. Yeah. And I remember that was one of the first times I had seen a movie and was like, wow, like this is actually can be done. Like this is what filmmaking could do, and ever since then, I watched Casino, obviously. And those, a lot of those filmmakers who tell stories about their, where they're from. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson right now just shot Soggy Bottoms out in the Valley. So just stuff like that. That's what really inspires me. I want to make sure that, I do the people right of Las Vegas, and I think our story should be told.
Yeah. How about you, Tara?
I really love Jane Campion and her work, the piano, and she has this richness in her subjects and her use of color. I really pay a lot of attention to. I feel like she's really great about taking those who are misunderstood and just like focusing on this quiet attention and just like not being afraid of the silences, of course, the piano. And it's very inspiring to me. I love comedy too. That's very hard. So I've like studied comedy a lot. Um, and then I feel like one of my favorite films that I recently watched again was Whale Rider, with a little girl in New Zealand, the Maori, and she's to be the next chief, and she has to rise above the sexist expectations of her culture. But the moment where she just plunges in and she saves the whale, and there's a voiceover saying, "I was not afraid to die," and just going for that full myth and our hero knowing that she's doing something better than herself. I'd like to achieve that in my filmmaking, with stories that honor those who sacrifice selves for something for the better good.
Yeah. 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 It's important, the heroic in our storytelling, for sure. Are you I don't know what your backgrounds are. Are your backgrounds in filmmaking, or is this something, how did you get into writing and
Go ahead, Sarah.
directing shorts?
So I have a degree in professional writing and master's in English, and I did take screenwriting when I was in undergrad, several semesters in writing, and then after college I dipped my toe in again. But it wasn't until 2015 I won with three other people, like a one act play for a small theater in town. And so when and they had all these fun parameters around it, and I had 1 hour to give feedback because they had selected a director. But watching them act and say my words, I'm like, I need to get serious about this because this is too much fun. And so I did. I started really writing more for the screen then, and but what really motivated me, sadly, was losing my house in the campfire in 2018 and the community paradise being lost. And I'm like, okay, now there's no excuse. Like, I'm going to do what I want. Like, there's, 83 people or 85 people died in that fire. And so it's like, and I hate to say that that's what really motivated me, but it's true. It's motivated me and to do exactly what I want.
Yeah. Yeah.
So my background, I graduated Bishop Gorman in 2007, and then for about 6-7 years I worked in healthcare, and then turned 26, and I kind of just like, I'm not really happy, and I kind of wanted something different, and I came out to LA not knowing really anybody. Sent out actually 300 emails from cold emails from the DGA list, and off of that I got one job from assistant director on the show called SWAT on CBS, and she's actually an associate producer on the short film. But I got that one job, and it just carried me through a couple other productions. Blackish, I got to work on Blackish, American Horror Story, which is awesome. And then I got in that movie, and like I said, that's when I met the actors, and they kind of helped me push all in. So in terms of background in filmmaking, it just kind of started off a whim. Like, this is something I always wanted to do. I remember I took one theater class in high school and absolutely loved it. I don't remember any other class, unfortunately, but theater class was something I really enjoyed, and just really, even just sitting back and just watching how people do it, how their process and stuff like that. That was really interesting to me. And even then, and even now, I feel like directing is more so like people watching, right? You just kind of go get a cup of coffee, you just sit down and people watch, and that's what brings inspiration to in the process of how I like to make films or shorts. But really, and just like what Tara said too, really deep diving on the writing. Like, that was something for All In I really, really wanted to focus on, because if they always say if it's good writing, then it's going to be a great movie. Not saying that All In's great writing, but I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, no, that's basically my background in it a little bit.
By deep dive, I mean, you both have said that. Does that mean, what does that mean? Does it mean in the rewrites? Does it mean in the process? Does it mean in, Did most of you, did you go through multiple drafts with your screenplays?
Oh
Oh
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
did you,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I had sent it to a couple of filmmaker friends, and they gave me great notes. Originally, it started off where it was again like two young people in the same setting where it's a casino lounge, but two young people. It's like their first love, and then kind of like how older generation, middle aged people, and their kind of love, right? Where as a security guard flirting with the waitress.
Mhm.
So lots of rewrites, definitely lots of rewrites, and but honestly, just people who I trusted and I trusted their notes really made this story feel succinct and made it feel so personal, especially to, again, someone who grew up in Las Vegas. Like I just knew these characters. I knew these characters. So, and that was
Yeah.
fun. That was fun.
Yeah. How about you, Tara?
So I got in. So part of my recovery from the fire was, diving into this as a career,
Mhm.
and I got a scholarship to a Sundance collab class, and for writing a short film, or it was creating a short film, and I had no expectations of directing anything, but they walked us through so the deep dive was, studying comparable films. So I watched all these films on homelessness and then decided I wanted to have a different type of, more of a buddy movie thing. And they taught us how to do a lookbook and create the look. And then I actually shared it with the director of photography. And, once I found the producer, really working with her on, like, she'd send it back to me like, this needs to be quippier, or make this sparkle just a little more, or move this here. So a lot of that, but just studying lots of, I just kind of dove into like watching lots of scripts, watch a lot of shorts, understanding the arcs, and I'm doing that now. Like with TV, I'm writing a TV pilot too, and watching all those teasers and how they break out each episode and characters and how they do different timelines.
Mhm.
So it's just like a really kind of a full-time thing where you're just in it in your own head, but then watching what other artists do.
Yeah. Yeah. So neither one of you are film majors, is that correct?
I dabbled a little bit in film school, and then I kind of saw the opportunity at hand when it was coming to, getting jobs and
Mhm.
meeting people and who actually work in the field and
So
stuff
you
like
had
that.
some film classes, but didn't do
Yeah,
the okay. So
yeah.
that's interesting. And yeah, one of the things that's always cool about, I mean, the live film and this too, because this is recorded and people will be able to watch this on YouTube. Uh, I don't know for how long. I guess this might just be up forever and ever as long as the Damn Short Film Festival has a channel. I'm not sure, but one of the things about doing panels and Q&As is at the festival and probably just out there in YouTube land, is there's always somebody who's inspired to do their first film after they come to the Damn Short Film Festival. So if that person is sitting out there watching right now, standing on one foot and the other, there's often something that some filmmaker says that makes them get off their butt and do it. What do you have to say to this person, Jessry?
Oh, I guess just go for it. If there's a little inkling that you said that says you need to do this, maybe it's and be open to other positions. Like again, I started off as a production assistant. I was getting people's coffees at 5 o'clock in the morning, and telling people when we're rolling and cutting and stuff like that. And you working on those sets, you just you see what other positions do, and then you kind of gravitate towards one or the other. But honestly, if this is something that piques your interest, just go out and do it. You never know what you're gonna make. I mean, I had no idea this was where I'd be in 5 years after moving out here to LA. No idea. And but yeah, just go for it.
Yeah.
And make something you love.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that that makes a difference. Tara.
Yeah, I go for it. You have to work hard. There's no easy, like, this doesn't just happen. You have to make it happen. But something that my Sundance class emphasized is that you can't do everything yourself. You need to rely on other people, and that's what's kind of so sad about this COVID time, But we're here together virtually, and that's amazing. We need to, don't be afraid to rely on other people, ask questions, to keep like making your networking bigger and bigger. And like Jessica was saying, sending out all of the emails and then landing one, and that just expanded your network and who you know, and relying on other people who are more experienced than you is just fine. And we want to help everybody, and we want to be a community. And I just think, like, if you don't have the answers, just keep asking. You might be asking in the wrong direction, but just keep asking, keep researching, and it'll happen. But it's a hustle. I don't feel like it's ever going to not be a hustle, and just be okay in that. Kind of just lean in. I know that's the loaded word phrase now, but don't be afraid of that, because that's really is the journey.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of persistence. That's one of the things I'm getting from just this Q&A is how much collaboration there is at the very beginning. I guess I mean, this is the 17th year of the festival, and I guess I just always imagine the writer of the movie is like writing out the whole thing, and that even the writing at the beginning, perhaps even an outline and idea form, is still a collaboration. And that sounds like, like, you'd have to be very vulnerable and very open, and really that just seems so brave, asking people for help. You get your thoughts on paper and you hand them to people while those thoughts are still raw. So how was that, developing that skill of reaching out? I mean, to me, that seems like something that would have to be cultivated, but I don't know. What is your experience, Tara?
Yeah, so in grad school, during those workshop days, there are lots of people just eager to tear you down. I developed a thicker skin, and I'm easily bruised. I have an ego, but I feel like I want to do my characters justice, and they need to speak, and they need to be understood in the way they speak. And other people can provide an insight that I can't quite see. So I have to rely on that and just trust. And, you have to, as you said, it has to be cultivated, because you know who not to take it to, if it's too vulnerable, or if it's too fresh, if it's, sit on it a couple of weeks and then review it before you give it to someone else. That's what I would suggest. But even in, like, we had, for one of the biggest scenes, we had the lights all set up, we were ready to go, but the actors were feeling like it was almost the last scene of the shoot, and they were just feeling like the words didn't sit in these characters' mouths as they had with the rest of the scenes. And so they worked on it, and they ad-libbed together, and I just watched them, and all three of us, mostly them at that point, creating, and it was an amazing experience. Like, they knew, just like me, authentically what they would say. So I'm grateful.
Yeah. Jessri.
Yeah, so it's like what Tara was sharing. You need really thick skin in this, and just Martin Scorsese always says that if you love filmmaking, if you love just making movies, you're going to end up doing it anyway, right? There's just something that's going to push you innately, that's just to go and do it. And that's kind of how it is with the writing, because I'm very insecure about my writing, insecure about everything I do, creatively anyway. And but yeah, that was just something where it's, again, where the people who I had sent the ideas to are the people who I trusted close to me. And the original idea actually came from my girlfriend. She's actually a production designer of the short. And she's literally said, I did a couple other shorts before this, and she literally was just like, well, why don't you just write something right? That's an old adage of writing, just write what you know. And she's like, Las Vegas, the people there, what downtown Las Vegas is like. And she was right. This is the most comfortable, and this is the most, even though it's like a baby to me. It's like I got to let it free, and this is me letting it free. And I'm proud of it. I'm a lot of the people who worked on it is very proud of it as well. But going back to your question, but yeah, just having thick skin and really trusting the people around you, because it's like, there's always someone out there who is just like, well,
right.
trying to brush it
So
off.
asking for feedback and making those early stages collaborative, you're just very choosy, of course, about who you're handing off your writing to. And
exactly. Yeah, exactly.
so
Even
on,
in early discussions, right before it's even written down on paper, you're just kind of talking about what it could be, or what do you think, what you think it could be. And, those conversations are usually with people that I trust, and their opinions mean something to me. So, yeah.
And where did you shoot it?
I actually shot it out here in LA. We shot it at the Dresden, the lounge. It's in Los Feliz. Swingers shot
Swingers
there.
is there. Yeah.
Mad Men did a scene. Anchorman 2 did a scene there. But yeah, it was just one of those things again where I was working on a production, and the producer was just like, I told him about the story, how it had to look like an old Las Vegas casino, and he was like, "Oh yeah, the Dresden." And as soon as I walked in there, I was like, "This is the place. Like this is the place." So yeah, I shot everything out here, and then the garage scene too out in LA. So.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. And Tara, whose house was that?
Yeah,
was that your
amazing thing? No. I found a Airbnb, and I had several that I looked into and told them about my story and the story of the short. And there weren't very flattering pictures on Airbnb, but I knew that there would be enough space in this particular house if several of the cast and crew needed to come. My stepdaughter Bernadette was there with us. My best friend was there, Lawrence, and I knew some of the cast might want to stay because it was a little bit outside of Sacramento. And yeah, they were very accommodating, and it was this amazing scene. There was a pond, and the colors of the fall, it was just perfect. It was just no idea what we were stepping into when we got there. It was, I hadn't scoped it out beforehand, but I was just, so as a result, we used more of we had a patio scene, we were outside more using that beautiful scenery.
Oh, okay.
It was outside of Auburn in Northern California.
Yeah, that's a beautiful area. Yeah, especially in the fall. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Other questions. Well, I guess that's it. I've got 5 minutes. 5 minutes. What do you want to talk about? Or what's the question that you want to be asked? Okay.
I'm not sure, actually. That's a good one.
Let's see. I usually have something. Let's see. They gave us a little list of things that questions we're supposed to reject. So I'm like, of course, those questions are coming into my head. But that being said, yeah. I know. What was there any? Well, Tara, you'd mentioned the thing where the actors were having trouble with the written script and improvise. So that was something that kind of like an unexpected thing that happened during your filming. Were there any other things, kind of serendipitous moments that happened that I don't know, seemed like green lights, or you thought it was a problem, but it ended up being a real gift? Anything like that happen?
Yeah, we were, my main actress, Nicole, and her family were all coming down with something. And she was, she had tea and lemons and everything she needed, lots of Kleenex. And she ended up not succumbing to it, but her husband was supposed to be an extra. Well, he was supposed to play the role of the brother of the joint maker, and he couldn't come. And so I was like, who can I ask to fill in? And And this guy who I'd never met, who was there, Nate, was on set just because he loves movies, and he was there with his friend. I said, and he was telling me, "Oh, I love to act, and I'm a writer, and I'm a filmmaker." I'm like, "Oh, you love to act, huh?" So he stepped in as this very tender role, and he brought something. It was just, he's not on screen very much, but he had us crying, when shooting the scene where he came to take his sister home, and it really set the tone, and I'm very appreciative that he did that. So thank you, Nate.
Nate, how about you, Chessery?
There was a lot of things. We're working with people like King, who played Vic, and James, and even Isabel. Just their experience, right? Isabel I think she did theater, more theater back, and then she's trying to get into more short films and TV and stuff like that. But just the experience, like just little one-liners and adding in the dialogue that I kept in the movie, I was just like it just felt right. And then the whole last shot of them just playing poker in an empty restaurant, like that was just something where the DP was just like, let's just sit on this. This is how it ends. And they just kept going with it. And, and again, it's King and James are friends. So it's like they have that, that chemistry when they're on screen together, and they know how to like push each other's buttons, the good buttons, right, to kind of get a reaction out of them. So that was interesting to see them kind of work it out. So, but it was really fun, really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for sharing your films and your stories and participating in this Q&A.
Oh, thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
No, my pleasure. It has been fun, and this is just day 2, so we've got hopefully lots of people will be buying those passes and seeing your films, and that you have a chance to jump on and see a bunch of other shorts as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Thank you, Anita.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Tara. Bye.